When I first started dating my husband, I saw red flags where there weren't any because of former trauma, which is why I want to talk more about this. So thank you for this comment. I almost screwed a bunch of dudes when we were dating because I misunderstood something. So let me just give you a little context. First of all, dating in France is very different than dating in the US. I knew this, but I also was like, whatever. So a lot of times they commit pretty quickly here. Unlike friendships, it takes a long time to become someone's friend in France, but they'll just dive into relationship pretty quickly a lot of times. Not always. And so I kind of assumed that we might be exclusive, but we hadn't talked about it yet. And so we'd been seeing each other for a little bit, I don't know, several weeks. And I wasn't really interested in anyone else. I just knew right out of the gate that this dude was special. And I can go into all the things that made me think that in another video, but I just knew. I knew. And he knew too. So anyway, we're hanging out. And then he goes to Paris for 4 days or something to go visit one of his best buddies. Now, while he's gone, right, I immediately go into Tinder. Now, what was I doing on Tinder? It doesn't matter. But I happened to go on his profile while I was on there. And I noticed that it had updated to 250 kilometers away or however far away Paris is from Lyon. And I was like, he's on Tinder up there. What's he doing on Tinder? Now, my immediate thought, the calm thought, was he's probably showing his best friend my profile because he didn't have any photos of me yet. That was my intuitive thought, and it was calm. But it was immediately followed by, no, screw this. He's looking for girls to screw. He's probably screwing a bunch of girls. You know what? If he's going to screw other people, I'm going to screw other people. Now, granted, I met him at the end of 4 or 5 year Tinder bender. I had the time of my life, y'all. I had so much the best shemags of my life with so many dudes. They were all awesome. I don't suggest everyone doing this, but for me, it was a part of my own schmegual healing because my abusive relationship, I had so much schmegual trauma tied to that I refused to let that man steal my pleasure. I refused to let him ruin schmegs for me when he was the first person who had unlocked pleasure for me. He was my abusive ex was my first dude I'd ever had an O with, a big oh my God, whoa, is this the human experience kind of O? So I refused to let him traumatize me for life, so I never enjoyed it again. So I'd been on this Tinder bender and I'd really become come into my own. I learned how to not put up with crap. I learned how to listen to my intuition. I learned how to see red flags more. And by the way, there's never a list of all the any man can fool you at any point in time, because I do have a catfishing story that I also want to share at some point. But I had very good success because I became a big old bitch. Right? I became this is life and death for me. I am not putting up with crap anymore. It was almost like I literally faked it until I make it. You know, what would a badass say to this person? They'd be like, nah, right? So I was got really good at Tinder. So, I've been having, and I've written about this for the Daily Beast. This article right here, I think I screwed eight guys in 9 days or 9 guys in 8 days. I don't remember. It was a lot. And it was fun. I also wrote this article while I became known for being a cougar, literally in tabloids, in the dictionary as the first example, y'all. And by the way, I hate that word. And this is also during the time that I wrote stuff like this, you can stay over, you can, go inside me, but you're not staying in my bed. I came into my own during this period of time. So then all of a sudden I start dating this man that I really like, and I got it in my mind that he's screwing a bunch of girls. Or that he's looking to. So I literally set up 4 dates in a row. I mean, talk about triggered. I mean, because I can easily have, schmargs with a really hot dude, which is another reason why I write about this stuff. You're not going to hit a wall, okay? So I had 4 dates lined up in a row. I was I'm going to go this guy, I'm going to go this guy, this guy, no one's going to stop me from having my O. If he's going to do it, it was literally, it was, y'all. And I am a big old slut and I'm proud of it. The only time I'm not proud of it is if my motive is self-destructive, if my motive is reactive. And that's exactly what was happening here. So so I have a community of people who hold me accountable, right? And one of my friends was like, Melanie, that's not Anthony. I just can't imagine him. That's not him. That's not him. That's you. But that's not him. And I was like, yeah, you're right. That is me. And then I asked one of my guy friends, he was a French man, because I also wanted the French perspective. And he was like, don't do it, Melanie. Don't do it. This guy thinks y'all are exclusive. I promise you. Plus, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. And then I asked another friend, and she was like, how are you going to feel about yourself if you find out that he was just showing your profile to his friend and he wasn't going out on dates? Then you're going to have so much shame for having slept with a bunch of dudes, not because you wanted to, not because it was an empowering experience, but literally as a way to get revenge on something that he didn't even do. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just sit in this discomfort. I'll sit with all this anxiety. What I also did not do, in addition to not hooking up with all those dudes, I canceled all those dates. I also did not blow up his phone all weekend, which I wanted to do. Hey, I didn't want to tell him what was going on with me because that's a me problem, right? It's not his fault that I'm super triggered. And it's not his fault that I went on Tinder. What was I doing on there, right? So he was communicating regularly with me. He even said, I'm sorry I'm not texting as much right now, but I haven't seen my friend in 2 years. So, we're just, and he would show photos of what they're doing. Like there was nothing suspicious going on at all. It was all coming from here in all of my nervous system, right? And all of the trauma that other men had done. This was not about Anthony. So when he got back, it was like, yeah, my friend thinks you look so cool. And just, he loved the photos of you. And I was like, you don't have photos of me. He's like, well, yeah, I showed him your profile on Tinder. And I was like, oh, yep, that's what I thought. I was like, you want to hear a funny story? And I told him. Now, I know that a lot of people tell you not to give away all your trauma and all that stuff. And I actually agree with that. But I kind of was like, I wanted him to know. I felt like I could trust him. So I was like, that's funny because I almost screwed 4 different dudes while you were gone. And then I told him why. I was like, I don't know if we're together or not. We haven't really talked about it. And I saw that you were on Tinder. So I was like, man, and I just told him what I almost did. And then I realized that I was, I didn't really want to hook up with other dudes. I was literally just doing it because to make things equal. And that didn't seem like a good idea. You know what he said? He was like, wow, your brain is fascinating. That's a lot. That's a lot. You dealt with a lot. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that because that'll help me know in the future what's going on sometime if you're having a reaction like that. Also, thank you for not blowing up my phone because I've had girlfriends in the past who are really jealous and projected a lot of stuff onto me unfairly. And if you've been blowing up my phone all week, accusing me of things I wasn't doing, yeah, I might have seen that as a red flag. So I appreciate you dealing with that with your community and with yourself instead of trying to ruin my weekend. That means you've done a lot of work on yourself. Now, that was honestly the best response. I couldn't even imagine a response that well to what I just shared with him. Because I thought, you know what? This guy is going to think I'm nuts. But I don't want to pretend. So then I was like, by the way, what are we? Are we exclusive? Because I actually kind of think I want to be. And he was like, oh, I want to too. But I know your story. I know your story. So I was kind of waiting for you to say it first. So again, I know a lot of people tell you not to tell your partner all your traumas and stuff, but I also don't think you should withhold a lot of information. And he knew that I'm terrified of commitment. He knew that I'd been pressured into things that I didn't want to do before. And I intuitively knew that he thought we were exclusive and he wanted to be exclusive. But he was like, I just didn't want to scare you off. And I figured it needed to come from you when you were ready. But I'm not interested in dating anyone else. And I'm not dating anyone else. So that's how we became exclusive. And that's how I almost blew up our relationship in the very beginning. But I'm really glad that happened because I knew that I could have honest conversations with this man. I knew I didn't have to hide stuff from him and pretend that I'm just got everything together. I don't want to play the cool girl crap anymore. I'm over it. I did that for too long and it never paid off. I want to be real. I want to be human. I want to have honest conversations that involve vulnerability and empathy and genuine emotion. Not this crap that I'm like the, poker face crap that I've always done. The only reason I didn't blow up my whole relationship is because of my community, who always holds me accountable.